We are live and ready when you are, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we're good to go, Heidi.
Yes, we are.
Okay, sounds good. I see Vivian's got her hand up. Okay, she's good to go now. Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, January 9th. The time is 6:02 p.m. and we'll go ahead and do roll call. Keithley?
Here.
Sweat?
Here.
Rojas?
Here.
Kennedy? Here. Swick?
Here.
Peyton?
Here.
Okay, we have all 6 members present and we do have a quorum. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We have no excused absences. Item D, agenda approval. We'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve tonight's agenda by Peyton, second by Keithley. Any further discussion on the agenda approval before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick,
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0 and the agenda is approved. Item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion and one vote. A council member may request to remove any item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Tonight's consent agenda consists of item 1, approval of minutes, and there is a number of those. Minutes of the regular meeting, November 14th, 2022. Minutes of the regular meeting, November 28th, 2022. Minutes of the special meeting, December 5th, 2022. Minutes of the regular meeting, December 12th, 2022. Minutes of the special meeting, December 13th, 2022, and minutes of the special meeting, December 28th, 2022. We have no ordinances for introduction tonight and no resolutions for intro tonight, or just resolutions on the consent agenda. Does any member wish to remove any item tonight on the consent agenda for individual discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Rojas to approve tonight's consent agenda with a second by Sweat. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick,
Aye.
and Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Tonight's consent agenda, item E is also approved. Item F, mayoral proclamations. It's not a proclamation, but we'd like to take a few moments. We have George Nathan in the audience this evening, and we would like to formally recognize his years of service on the Seldovia City Council, the years 2019 through 2022. And city had you a little hat made. You like hats, George? So Seldovia, Alaska, and obviously city of Seldovia, dedicated public service from 2019 to 2022. Summer hat there, and your honor is black. All right. Thank you. Appreciate everyone. Thank you. Appreciate your town council and your contribution, public service in the community. All right. Any words you want to say or anything, or? Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's on. Seems like I've said my farewells about 4 times. So, yeah. I just have a matter that I'd like to put before the council about this ranked choice voting. I've done a little informal questionnaire around everyone I know in Seldovia. I've yet to find anyone who's in favor or likes it. What if some concerned citizen started a sign-up sheet to see just exactly how much official support there would be for some sort of action to try to turn this around? Back when I was still on the council, I talked to our rep in Kodiak, and basically what she said was it's going to take an act of legislation by the state to turn it around. I don't know if you folks are interested in fighting that fight, or and of course, we're not sure that there's a majority of people in town. It's my opinion that there is, and I'll try to find out.
Through the mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Harmony.
I think it's our job to put forward what the community needs. So if it's something that you find a majority of people are looking for, then it's a fight that we should take on. However it turns out, that's our job, George. So good job with the legwork.
Well, I haven't done very much yet, but more to come.
Okay.
Well, I'll get out of your hair. I'm sure you got a busy evening and you don't want to be here till midnight. I thank you again. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Carry on.
Okay, thank you, George. Yeah, appreciate that. All right. Next item up for business tonight is item G, public presentation prior notice. And it looks like we have our representative, Sarah Vance out of Homer, ready to give an introduction and a legislative update.
Hello, good evening. I'm Representative Sarah Vance. It's such an honor to be here before you. As you know, redistricting expanded the borders of House District 6 to now include across Kachemak Bay. And so I welcome Seldovia back to our legislative House district. You have always been a part of our community in my mind. I grew up in Homer from the time that I was 10, and Seldovia is one of my favorite places to go. So I'm not new to Seldovia. I enjoyed getting to know some of you over this last summer and look forward to building that relationship in the future. I'm just going to highlight a couple of my top legislative priorities and then open it up for questions that you may have. My very first priority right now is organization. You may have heard that the House has not organized yet a clear majority. We are working on that. There's been a lot of conversations. I'm very hopeful that we can have an organization by the time session starts on January 17th, next Tuesday, or not tomorrow, but a week later, when we will be sworn into session and hopefully have a path forward then. The next overall priority is for us to have a comprehensive long-term fiscal plan. Alaskans have been asking for that for quite some time, and we need fiscal stability for the future so that we can focus on building a strong economy. And I believe that that's something that the legislature can come to agreement on as well. 2 years ago, there was a very good fiscal policy working group that provided a really fair plan that turned every dial on adjustments that we need. And that has been a part of the conversation with members, including new members that were recently elected to the legislature. So I'm very, very hopeful about that. I do have some personal legislation that came out today with our pre-file bills, and you'll be seeing some of that in the news in the near future. You can go to our Alaska Leg website and be able to see the pre-file bills. And the first one that I have is House Bill 2, which is contracts prohibiting Israel discrimination. I have House Bill 4, which is a repeal of ranked choice voting. I will let you know that I'm going to be speaking with our legal department on the short title. It says that it repeals ballot measure 2, and that's a little bit misleading because I did not touch the dark money provisions that I feel most Alaskans wanted to address that. What mine does is it returns the election system, the processes back to what it was prior to the ballot measure, where one person equals one vote. The next piece of legislation is House Bill 21, and that is my school healthcare consolidation bill. But it impacts municipalities and the University of Alaska as well. And this allows school districts, municipalities, and the University of Alaska the option to consolidate their healthcare plans with the state of Alaska's Alaska Care program. And this is designed to ease the burden of healthcare costs for larger groups like the boroughs and cities and school districts that are facing the challenges of being able to afford a good healthcare policy. And the goal is that in the long term, it will end up costing less because we will be utilizing a larger pool of people. So I've already introduced that to our school district, and they are favorable towards it right now. And we will be going into deeper conversations and answering some of their questions they have about that. So I would love to have your support as well. And now that we have an actual bill number, I can have my staff send that to you so that you can review that. And then one that is not on the pre-file that I find very important, I've been talking about it, is my No Patient Left Alone Act. It was introduced during as an amendment to a health care bill during one of our special sessions a couple of years ago, and it passed by a majority of the legislators. But the bill that it was being carried in was pulled, and so it did not pass into law. I introduced it this previous session, but because of the politics, it did not receive a bill hearing. So I've been working on a newer version of that. And what it does is that it would allow an individual to have a loved one by their side when they are in a hospital or healthcare facility at whatever time of need. We know that there's been a big strain on our medical community and our families, and a lot of people dying alone. So that's just the simplicity of what that bill does. It says you have a right to have a support person there by your side during your times of need when you feel the most vulnerable. So those are just to highlight some of my top priorities. And I'm here in Juneau getting my office ready, transitioning from district, and I'm going to be bringing another staffer on that you will have an opportunity to get to know. So I will open it up to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Representative Vance. No, I appreciate that. Good overview of what your priorities are and what you have going on. And yeah, that's super, super exciting. Obviously, there's a number of those causes that hit close to home here. I know you touched on the repeal the ranked choice voting, which is ironic that we just had a little spiel on that just before you logged on there. I'm not sure if you heard that or not from one of our previous council members there. And yeah, I'll just tell you right now that this last election was an eye opener, and the entire ranked choice thing, I don't think people fully understood. I know in theory it's simple, and it is simple, but I don't think they fully understood the implications of what could have happened during this last election. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm glad it turned out the way it did. But it could have been disastrous. So, depending where you fall in your particular party line. So, I'm glad to see that. And I think you'll hopefully have, some support for that. And then a couple of these other bills as well, all super good causes. And yeah, if we can get some additional info going forward, hopefully we can get some support for you down in Juneau to, carry the water and move those forward. So I'll open it up to the rest of the council members. If anyone else has any questions or comments for Representative Vance.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian. I'll come right back to you, Bobby.
Thank you, Sarah, for joining us tonight. I like your bills that you're bringing forward. The issue with the ranked voting, and a lot of people didn't understand it. It is confusing. It needs some refining, if not changed. It was to prevent the dark money part. So if that can be addressed, I mean, that was the big thing about why it came about. So if that can be addressed, I think people would be happy to go back to the simple form of one vote, one person. In your visiting with Seldovia, and what's your come away with what you think Seldovia wants from you?
Thank you for that. Clearly, one of the largest concerns is the ferry and a reliable ferry system. And I heard you loud and clear. And this fall, I had a conversation with Commissioner Anderson of DOT about listening to the needs of the community. And as promised, I did write a letter supporting their winter schedule, where they were coming at minimum 1 day a week, which is what you requested. And then opening up to possible contracts to provide services for when the ferry is in dry dock. And that's something that an RFP should be out right now looking for that, so that that we are assured that Seldovia will be able to have goods and services during the coming winter months, which is right around the corner of when the Tustamina will be in dry dock. So I'm going to keep my word to you and make sure that your voice is heard and that we have reliable service. That's been my concern, as well as that I want to make sure that the decisions that are being made in the ferry system are for the long term and providing for the needs of our communities. So that's a lot of the concern. I've been hearing some housing for the teachers. Clearly, that's an issue that is being addressed everywhere. I was very pleased to see in the governor's budget this year that there is being money put towards housing development in our rural villages, because public safety has needed that, and educators. So I foresee that will have support in the legislature. I don't know if that will impact Seldovia directly, but at least that there is movement to start addressing those from the state standpoint in the communities that are just struggling with basic housing for areas like education, where we are needing to have someone reliable there. So I know that that you have you do have someone who travels and comes. That's something that I'm working on. The other issue is the parking lot over in Homer, the long-term parking across from Smoky Bay Air. That has been something that we have been working on for 2 years now. I was able to get the abandoned vehicles cleaned up, obviously with the help of DOT. They were able to pull some bunnies out of a hat to get funding to be able to remove those abandoned vehicles. And now you have not been able to use that long-term parking there, which affects your educators, it affects the traveling nurses, it affects your elders. And we have been working with DOT to make that space available for you again. Unfortunately, it's stuck in the process of waiting in line for the lease to come. They're telling us hopefully by summer that we will have that going again. They're looking to hire someone that will manage it so that it doesn't get littered with abandoned vehicles again. The other priority that was very clear for Seldovia was the Jackaloff Bay dock. And that area, because of emergency services, and it's important on a variety of means. And I did tour that dock, and that clearly needs repair. I also recognized a lot of abandoned vehicles out there that are taking up a lot of important space, especially I can only imagine in the wintertime when your ambulance, your emergency services go there, they're having to work around snow and those abandoned vehicles. So I've had conversations with the DOT commissioner and Department of Natural Resources, because they both have land there. So they have prioritized that on cleaning those abandoned vehicles for your community. A little bit different logistics out over there. But that's something that I'm working on. And I have talked about the Jackaloff dock and what we can do, a lot of different federal resources right now. And that's something that I see as a need that we need to look at funding sources that are available to that. So if I missed anything, please let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that was pretty comprehensive answers to Vivian's questions. Bobby, you had something?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for that update on the ferry. And as most of you have seen in Heidi's city manager report, I just wanted to reiterate that the state is trying to get us coverage for the time that the Tusty is going to be out. Rachel and I have met with the commissioner twice now, and I do want to say that he is listening to us over here. We've done a lot of letters and calls and this and that, and I think it's accomplishing something. So whether or not that coverage is going to happen, unfortunately, there was a time restraint on that because it was done pretty quickly. And but I'm hoping they do have the RFP out. So, and I believe that needs to be in January 12th, I think. So we'll see what happens. We've requested 2 services a month while the ferry is out. So hopefully that will help, so we'll see what happens. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Anyone else? Any additional questions for Representative Vance?
Mayor Campbell.
Yep, go ahead, John.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, John.
I don't have any questions for you. I just want to let you know several of those items I support, and we appreciate all the work you can do for us there in Juneau. And we're looking forward to a new year here.
Wonderful. It's been a lot of fun having an excuse to come and spend more time in Seldovia. And I just appreciate the welcome that all of you have given. And my office and myself personally, we are available to you. Any questions that you have, any assistance with anything, please feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. We want to be of service to you. And, we are a little bit closer. I want to be able to come and spend time in Seldovia as much as I can, instead of us always having to be over Zoom. Obviously, I'm going to be here in Juneau until the end of May. So I likely won't be coming directly over until that time, but we are available for whatever means. And, we need to start getting the word out on that RFP as soon as possible, because I know that makes your life so much easier to be able to get your goods and services on a regular basis. And, it is admirable, all of the adjustments that you make in order to have your quality of life in Seldovia. The one thing that I did want to say about ranked choice voting is that our district opposed ballot measure 2 when it was first introduced because of the ranked choice voting. And my bill, as Vivian was pointing out, is that it leaves the provisions of the dark money that ballot measure 2 addressed. It only deals with the primary and the general elections and gets us back to one person, one vote. And I knew that the voters wanted that confidence. there is data that I will be providing in my research before ballot measure 2 passed, along with some senators, that they had committee hearings. They had someone come in who had looked at ranked choice voting around the nation. And the largest concern was that it disenfranchised voters who were seniors, minorities, undereducated, and those who didn't have English as a first language, and by a very large margin. And if we want every vote and every voice to count, in my opinion, ranked choice voting is not that path. So that's why I have opposed ranked choice voting from the very beginning, because we want it to be something that people trust and know that their vote is going to be counted very easily. Our Alaska saw the lowest turnout in the lowest voter turnout in this last general election than we've seen in a long, long time. And that was very concerning. I had veterans talk to me and say, I'm just not going to vote. And it was because of ranked choice voting, and they felt that it was too confusing. And when people just don't have that confidence to even show up at the polls, that's very concerning, because every voice, every vote does matter. I believe this is not a partisan issue. Prior to ballot measure 2 passing, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both opposed it because it changed so much. And we need to keep that in mind. I have a lot of people who talk to me about buyer's remorse, that they voted yes, thinking that it was just going to cover the dark money provisions and provide more transparency, not realizing that it would change our entire election process. So that's why I have made it a priority to have this repeal bill. And I'm looking forward to robust conversations in the legislature, and having a letter of support from the municipality, from the city, would be great. But it is something that I want you to look into. And as the legislation continues to go through committee, I'll be able to have a more comprehensive packet for you to take a look at, so that you can understand it before you make a position. Because I know that you have accountability with people in Seldovia to know it as well. But I encourage you to follow that through the process, and take a look for yourselves and find out what people think based upon their own experience in this last election. That will be really good feedback for me as well. So I look forward to the conversations.
Great. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, excellent. That's a lot of good information there. So, okay, anyone else with any additional closing comments for Representative Vance?
Mr. Mayor, I guess I do. Yeah, Sarah, I should have asked you this earlier and I kind of spaced it out. So do you know where things stand with the new ferry? Are the plans in place, and has it been it's been funded to be built?
Thank you for that question. The last that I've heard is that they were looking at a hybrid model on an energy efficient, an electric diesel hybrid model. I don't know if that's been finalized or not. We did hear that the federal dollars that we had hoped would be given towards the entire ferry system were not as robust as we believed. So that's something that, we're going to be taking a look at in the legislature and the future impact. I do believe the funding for a new vessel, that most of that is secure, but I need to confirm on exactly where we are in that process.
Okay, yeah, they had discussed the hybrid ferry, and yeah, if you could follow up on that, that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you for that. Any final questions? Okay. All right. Looks like you're off the hook there. Sarah, appreciate you taking the time this evening. Yeah, and we'll look forward to hopefully checking in with you here every few months or so. That'd be great. I know you're about to get real busy once the legislature goes into session here. So but obviously if there's something, if we have an ask of you, we'll have our city manager reach out to you or your staff and We'll definitely stay in touch throughout the session here and keeping our eye out on these bills as they come up for consideration. So again, thank you tonight. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
have a good evening. All right. Let's see, item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone in-house? I see the hands up.
I'm thinking it might be easier just to zoom in. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just recapping a great December and coming into January set of events around the community, and thankfully safety for everybody involved and a few special booms here and there, but otherwise just really tremendous. And again, just want to reiterate how great it was to see folks getting their Christmas lights out and lighting up the night, and keep them on, keep those lights on, support all of the folks who are out walking and driving in darkness and inclement weather, and anything that you can do, I really encourage that. So from a chamber perspective, you'll see like council member Keithley has put out there a reminder that we're looking forward to the next summer season, and it's this summer now. So, an exciting time. And so just want to encourage everybody as we begin this season into the summer, as we come up with our ideas and the things that we want to implement this summer, let me know so that I can get that into, stuff, getting that word out in the community. And of course, Melody Hall is the acting chamber president, and Darlene Crawford is the secretary, and Ashley is the treasurer. And so give them your words of encouragement, because it's an effort to continue, especially in the winter months, to keep things going. So, but we know we benefit greatly from the efforts of the Seldovia Chamber of Commerce. So that's my piece on there. And then just from a Seldovia Village Tribe perspective, we're looking at the winter and spring months ahead and where to have activities and connect again with everybody after we recover from the Christmas events. And every Friday, two Fridays a month, Jennifer Dixon comes back over to Seldovia and does a class called Thrive, and it's at 12 o'clock. There's lunch served, and she currently is talking about the importance of stepping back from sugar to support your body's overall health. So I would encourage anybody who's available to come check that out. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you, Laurel. Appreciate all the information. Okay, do we have anyone online tonight that wishes to speak or offer comments?
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you for the
Mr.
comments
Mayor.
tonight.
I have a comment.
Yep.
Yeah, Laurel, that little parade, that little light parade thing was the cutest thing ever. I hope that continues and more this year.
Okay, so
Yeah.
go to Amazon.com and just start looking up Christmas car decorations, Bobby. You got to get yours, and then you can buy an adapter where you put it into your, charging port or your cigarette input, and you can actually have a power strip. So then whatever stuff that you're putting on your car can be plugged into that power strip and run. So Mr. Mayor Campbell was there with his golf cart out in the cold.
With a generator strapped to the back. too.
That was cold.
Partial to Mayor Campbell,
Yes.
but that golf cart was the cutest thing
It was
ever.
so
It looked like a
great.
little ice cube going down the street.
Yes.
It was
We-
so cute.
So we're reevaluating the route, and we may just really encourage that we do kind of like the zit of these blocks right here, and then head to the cookies and cocoa, and just get it done quick and fun. But it was really great to have everybody standing out there, including the troop that stood up on the deck and waved,
Yeah.
cheers us on. So.
We had to do
That
that.
was great.
We were waiting for it.
So we think
Yeah.
we had 125 people come to the cookies and cream cocoa thing afterwards. So all in all, we learned that a warm weather tree lighting is especially well attended.
Perfect. Thanks for the additional comments and commentary.
Oh, and trinkets too was adorable.
Okay, let's move on. We've got some business here. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Committee and advisory board reports. We have none tonight. Item J, administrative reports, none. Item K, public hearings, none. Item L, unfinished business, none. And item M1, resolution 23-26, a resolution of the city council of the city of Seldovia, adopting the 2023 through 2028 capital improvements plan and establishing capital project legislative priorities for fiscal year 2024. And I'll go ahead and let staff take this one. And this will be starting on page 23 of your packet.
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Mayor, I have to apologize for anybody who has a paper packet. Apparently the page numbers did not make it onto the bottom. So,
Okay, I wrote them all down, so I'll make sure I repeat them. 23 for this first one.
yeah, I apologize, but it is there in the packet. And this was a really hard push that former city manager Friedlander was trying to get done for months and months. The goal was to get it done in the fall of last year so that we can have more of a public comment period and not be so rushed at the end. Because right now, for at least the capital legislative priorities or capital project legislative priorities, that opened December 14th. And last year they closed it really quickly mid-January, and then they ended up extending it. But it was kind of a little bit nerve-wracking on trying to get our priorities in on time. And we've seen other communities that are really a lot more proactive in getting it done in the fall. So unfortunately that didn't happen. The CAPSIS period is open right now. Rachel was able to utilize the majority of her time as a temporary employee to get this project pretty much to completion. I'm sure there are still some things that could be amended and edited going forward in the future. The hope being that we'll start this process again in August, that staff will be able to do a more thorough review between all the department heads, that'll have a more public comment, a larger public comment period. And then of course asking again, which we did do back last September, for any other nonprofit or governmental agencies projects that they wanted to be represented in this document, just to show support for them. With that being said, it is here, and I think it's fairly thorough for what it is. But if you guys see any edits, additions, amendments needed, please let me know. And we'll, especially even if or after it passes tonight, because we'll be keeping note, it'll be similar to the budget project. We'll take notes throughout the year. And when it comes time to update it for the next cycle, we will add those notes in. As for those capital project legislative priorities, these project names come from last year's projects, which there were 10. 2 were removed, actually 3 were removed, and Jackloff was added. And you can see what was included last year on page, let me pull it up here real quick.
I think it's 31. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, mine doesn't have numbers, so I can't tell you,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is toward the end of the packet, and it'll show you FY22 through FY13. So kept the top 8 and included Jackloff on here. And these first 2 should look familiar, because those are projects that we are set to receive as federal appropriations. However, even with an adjustment for inflation, the project estimates were so old and outdated that once we received new updates from VSW, there was a significant gap in funding from what we'll be receiving for federal appropriations versus what the project will cost. So this is just the gap for each of those projects. And then the third one, I'll talk more about in the city manager's report, but that's for the Seldovia Slough inflow and infiltration project. That's hopefully coming up into construction phase this year or this spring. And we have 18 homes in the slough. that are not year round that will be impacted by this project. And because of the nature of BSW, they won't be able to fund those homes. So that's the cost estimate. And I had a meeting with them today. So I would ask if we could have an amendment to this resolution to just update that 468,000 to a more accurate. They're going to get me better numbers here in the future, but she said just to add a 25% increase on top just to start. So that'd be 585,000. And then I apologize, the mayor pointed out that Jack Lob Bay replacement should be 1.5 million, not whatever crazy extra zero number is in there. And then yes, the Seldovia Safe Roads Program road material is, we are receiving, we are set to receive 22,000 from the federal appropriations. So this 22,000 would just match it. And please let me know if you have any questions or if you have any items you want removed, added, amendments, here for it all.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to council for discussion.
I do have one question, Mr. Mayor. That Safe Roads matching funding, is that are we required to have matching funding, or is that just to have additional funding?
No, we are not required, but we know we're going to need a lot of dirt.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else? Yeah, I'll just make a couple comments. Yeah, it's unfortunate that our waterline transmission project, the funding gap on that is obviously huge at just over $1 million on that. So that's going to be almost like starting back at ground zero on that one. And then there's a significant, half, that's more than double of what we had. And then we've got the or what was that number originally? Was it 1 point? No, it was 780 or something like that we received. Yeah. So it's definitely, more than double on that. And then on the sewer line replacement, that's, another 50% again on the increase. So just a timing thing, and unfortunate we didn't have those numbers back last year before we submitted with the updated engineers estimates on those. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing unprecedented material cost increase right now, all over the construction industry. So nothing surprises me on the outrageous rates and estimates that are coming in on some of these projects. So yeah, I'm in favor of what we have here, seeing what we have here, and continue to move forward. I'm just glad that this was basically finished, completed, and we've got something to look at, vote on, consider, and keep it moving through the channels. And that's half the battle, is just having the plan completed and then getting it up for consideration. So that's all I've got.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to take back my statement to Councilmember Swick. I want to apologize. There is a match. It's only 20%. So all of the federal appropriations do have a 20% match. So out of that 22,000, 20% the city will have to put up. But this 22,000 is not for that. It's to match it in addition for more material.
So 4,400, that shouldn't be too difficult to come up with to get that material moving on the first round then. So, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep. Go ahead, Harmony.
I have a quick question about when we're talking about the dam project and safe water projects. Back in 2019, we talked about dredging our reservoir up top. And with a winter like this winter, it's not as dramatic as what we had in 2019. But, our weather patterns are so erratic. It seems like it behooves us to continue those explorations. Are we still pursuing that type of work?
Let me look into that, because I know that we had somebody come in and take a video, the underwater video. And if I remember correctly, there wasn't as much material as they anticipated in there, and maybe that's where it stopped. So Let me double check if that's still a recommendation for it to be dredged or not.
Okay. When we're talking about our dam project, we're talking about repairing the infrastructure that exists because it's past due its upkeep, correct? We're not talking about,
There are some recommended repairs, yes, for the dam. Yeah.
okay. Well, I just feel like we need to be pursuing some like more options for our water source for, especially when we hemorrhage water unexpectedly. And I think that we do a lot of really excellent work for our community, but that's something that, we need to think of in preparation of an emergency like 19 instead of reactionary. I keep meaning to ask that and I keep forgetting. So, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, we need to, that needs to be brought back up. And then at some point we need to get that on the list here somewhere as well with some, some estimates and all of that. So same thing, we need to try to at some point work that into the process. So, I mean, right now, so the dam improvements right now, the 71.5, do you recall what that is?
I do have the report in my email, but I can't remember the specifics.
Okay, well, we've got it on here at least for something here. So that's, yeah.
Oh, it should be, it's in the capital
It's
improvement
probably
plan.
back in the,
It'll be right here.
under each one of the big, yeah, I see it there. That is smaller service capital. Page 37.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's got all the specific improvements. Okay, and that's exactly, yeah, it goes to back what you were talking about. And then ARWA also noted some of the same issues. That's right. The spillway was broke. There's a couple things
Yeah.
on there. So, okay.
Use the city's existing topographic map of the dam to perform a simplified dam break analysis. Repair the timber spillway, repair the concentrate spalling, repair seepage at the base of the dam. Power spray and remove algae.
Okay, well, yeah, so we've got it on here for something. And then obviously though, yeah, that's a good point. We do need to probably look at that here in the future and come full circle and have, some dedicated couple of work sessions or something in the future dedicated to making sure that our water source is obviously never compromised. So.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yep, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, if Heidi could elaborate on the 18, you referenced 18 homes that are on the slough that would not be, could you elaborate on, I kind of missed what you said. Elaborate that they would not be part of because they're not full-time. Could you elaborate on what that means? They're not part of the construction, not part of the water, or what is it exactly?
Yeah, sure. Through the mayor. Yes. So we have a project that should be coming into the construction phase after this spring through Village Safe Water. And that is for the inflow and infiltration that's occurring in the Seldovia Slough wastewater system. And that needs to be complete before they can update the wastewater septic tank because we have all that salt water that's flowing through our wastewater system from that infiltration from those leaks that are happening. And part of that project is that they will replace, I believe, the majority of the main, but they also want to repair the services that are connected. And because of the program that's through Village Safe Water, the funding is for specific types of categories of communities and residents, and secondary homes or homes that are not full-time residences do not qualify for the funding from the program. So we sent out a survey to all of the homes that'll be impacted on the slough earlier or last fall, I should say, and we received those responses back. Just in the last month, we were able to finish it up. And out of all of those homes, there were 18 that will not qualify for funding through the VSW program in order for their systems to be improved during this project. However, the city can go out for funding, for additional funding for those houses in order to button up the system, because it's really important that we button up the system, or they won't, it won't be as great of a benefit, or we may not even be able to continue to pursue updating the septic. They go hand in hand.
Okay, so the city either finds money to do it would be the best solution.
Correct.
If help our system. Otherwise, the dollar would go on the homeowner, but they would be able to say, I don't want it. I don't want to be a part of it. I guess we're in a bit of a crux there.
We are in a little bit of a crux. I was going to talk about it a little bit more in the city manager's report, but because we are on it now, and I didn't list it in the city manager's report in writing, because I just had this meeting at 3 p.m. today with VSW and the Denali Commission. We're looking at, I said, about $585,000 in funds for the services to those homes. And the Denali Commission's, the representative that I met with, thought that we would have a really competitive application for that project, since it's just a very small portion of the overall project in which we're looking for funding, and because they can fund up to 2 million and we're not asking for that. She said asking for under 700,000, and knowing the impact it'll have on a much larger scale for the community makes us really competitive. So she really encouraged that we apply. They're looking for that NOFO to be released at the end. She thought they're saying end of January. She said it was probably more realistically the beginning of February. So she'll send me a notice when that comes out, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. And then additionally, VSW was on the call, and the lady, I apologize, her name slipped my head, that I was speaking to also helps operate the Seldovia, or the state revolving loan program. And she said, and that closes on February 28th. And we weren't really prepared yet to apply for a project, but she really recommended that we do apply for funding for this project through that program. They have, here, I made a note on it. They have new subsidies that they're offering. And let's see, what did I say? The two entities are working together to help communities secure funding, and the Denali Commission said they would be competitive. I talked on that. And the loan program was offering a new bill funding with new levels of subsidies. So between the two, they're well aware of what Seldovia needs, and they want to see us get funding. So we're going to apply for both, and then they're working together to try to make sure that it happens.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm totally in support of this resolution 2326. It's a wonderful document that's put together. It gives us our template to move forward. So kudos to getting this together. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Vivian. Anyone else? Any additional questions or comments on resolution 23-26? Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the public. If there's anyone in the public that wishes to weigh in on resolution 23-26. Laurel?
Yes,
you are
Mr.
up.
Mayor, Laurel Hiltz. So a couple questions, or a question and a thought in regards to the dam. I was hearing Councilmember Payton's comments on that, and reflecting on the 2019 issue that occurred. And I think in addition to there being warm weather, we also had exponential leaks. And so averaging around 200,000 gallons a day. And my understanding is that our averages have come down maybe 150,000 gallons a day lower. And I remember when Kevin sat here and said, you should only be producing 20 to 40,000 gallons a day. And I think we're so much closer to that. So when we think about 2019, I think less about the drought and I think more about the fact that water was just pouring out of us and that we have worked consistently. So instead of reacting, I think we are consistently attempting to resolve the water issues. And I think that we'll see that the reservoir works more successfully as a result in a hotter setting. The other thing is just if I could ask what the total number of residences are on the slough that are inhabited year round. Is it 5?
12.
So maybe that includes people that live above the slough. Their dwelling is not on the waterfront.
It goes down Bay Street as well.
Down Bay Street. Okay, I'll find out where that is. Okay. Okay. 12 is much more than I think are year round, but hey, cool. That's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Laurel. Anyone else online that wishes to weigh in on resolution 23-26?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't see any hands at this time.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for final action on resolution 23-26. It does appear, unless there's any further discussion and anyone else wants to offer up any other additional amendments, it looks like there is one housekeeping amendment that will need to be made after the main motion is made to change that $468,000 number on the Seldovia Slough Sewer Phase 1 funding gap to $585,000. So we can just keep that in mind. But yep, all right. I'll go ahead and look. If there's no more discussion, I'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve resolution 23-26.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 23-26.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept resolution 23-26 from Sweat. We have a second from Keithley. Is there any further discussion or amendments before we vote? Who's going to offer up our amendment?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay.
I move we amend Seldovia Slough Sewer Phase 1 funding gap from $468,000 to $585,000.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. We have an amendment from SWIC to amend the $468,000 number on the Slough Phase 1 funding gap to $585,000, and we have a second by Rojas. Any further discussion on that amendment before we vote? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment. All those in favor? Keithley.
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye.
Rojas.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Swick.
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, the amendment is approved, changing the $468,000 number to the $585,000 number. That'll take us back to the main motion, which is to accept resolution 23-26 now as amended. Any further or additional discussion before we vote on the main motion?
Mr. Mayor, there was a little housekeeping number about the Jack Loft dock, Bay dock replacement. You already discussed that, right?
Yeah, I think we can just do that through the verbal. There was an extra zero in there that was not a number. So that'll just to reiterate, the Jackaloff Bay dock replacement will be $1,500,000. And that's our number 4 priority.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, if there's no additional discussion on resolution 23-26 as amended, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 23-26 as amended. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick,
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 23-26 as amended passes with a vote of 6 in the affirmative. Okay, thank you, everyone. Item M2, resolution 23-27, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia approving a request for proposal for materials to educate and promote the Seldovia Chinook Enhancement Program. This will be found on page 91 of your packet, and I'll go ahead and let the city manager take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this resolution, as you stated, is in the packet with a request for proposal to follow, and that request is for materials to educate and promote the ADF&G Seldovia Chinook Salmon Smolt Program in Seldovia. The city of Seldovia and the Seldovia City Council passed resolution 2120S and resolution 2223 over the last couple of years in support of the continuation of this fishery for the smolt to come over across the ferry and be placed into the lagoon. We're only one of 2 places in the Kachemak Bay where they continue to do this. It's this and over in Homer. And there was talk about no longer supplying smolt in Seldovia. And from my understanding, it's not even really a budgetary issue. It was more of an issue that they weren't seeing the numbers of users for the sports fishery compared to what they would see in Homer for that amount of smolt. So really, the big push was that we will really promote the fishery and show that it's an active fishery and provide that support through, through those measures. And we had the great opportunity through a grant that we received in 2015, where the city of Seldovia was trying to pursue coho salmon smolt to be stocked in our area. And through many years of trying and research, finally we received a pretty straightforward answer that there are just not coho smolt available for our area. It's something that we'll never be able to accomplish at this point. With that, we did go back to the state legislators, and they approved an amendment to the grant to allow us to utilize that 25,000 instead of stocking smolt to provide education on the smolt program here in Seldovia. So I feel like we're pretty fortunate that we can use this opportunity to really try to enhance the fishery and hopefully get more anglers over here to enjoy it and buy that king tag. The RFP is for 18,000. It's capped at 18,000 of those dollars, because the rest of the dollars are earmarked for a rod and reel program, different advertisements that we hopefully want to do through the Homer Chamber of Commerce and some other entities. And then also that we want to make sure that we have a little bit of a safety net for any additional signage that we need to order or marketing materials. But if you look on the following page from the resolution, or 2 pages later, you'll see that really what we're asking for is an image or logo for the fishery that can easily be and effectively be utilized across multiple prints. We want layouts and placements put together for city advertisements, educational brochure or pamphlet, the creation and development of a short film that promotes it that can be used on social media, and strategic marketing plan to help us identify ways to effectively promote that fishery. And then there are additional options of hosting a meeting to help with the educational signage. If that's not something that the bidder is up for task, I think that's definitely something that the city can take on. I had a great conversation with Councilmember Kennedy last week, where he had a few areas he pointed out that he would really like to see signage, and then additional advertising layouts and placements for promotional items such as stickers or buttons would kind of be a fun aside if somebody was interested in it. This would go out, I think I had it set for tomorrow if it's approved. And then we would want to receive submissions by Friday, February 17th, because it's a very short season. The grant expires June 30th. And we all know that the fishing in the slough begins mid-May and ends mid-June-ish. Smolt stock beginning of June. So whoever bids hopefully is able to operate under fire and get it done.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. We'll go and open it up to council for any comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, I know that through the past couple of years, that we've been working with Alaska Department of Fish and Game, Michael Booz over in Homer. But more something that we talked about a lot, and I'm not sure if it's in here, and hopefully it will be, is getting signage, kind of the history of the fishery, because that's the first question people ask: what are you fishing for? And then you go through the whole thing about king salmon, how they got here. And so the beautiful work that we have done already in this community for the Alaska highways that's down here at the pavilion and through town, I'm hoping that we can get something of quality. So I was working with Rachel on this, but it sounds like this is pretty open proposal, that it still is, it's not detailed out. They're still open for what may come around in meetings. Is that correct, Heidi?
Those items on there are specific to the project, so they need to be included in the submission.
Okay, and signage is in here.
Signage is in there. It is listed as an additional, but we have that we want advertisements and layouts and displays. So it can be part of that, and then we can just go out and order the signage afterwards. But really, it's getting that cohesive image and information to be shared across multiple platforms. Yes, and we will use that to utilize signage as well. And if we want, we can even take that as it's an additional, the signage, we can move that right on up out of the additional. That was one thought I had too, after speaking with Councilmember Kennedy, is we can move optional additional services, host a community meeting regarding the project and design, and produce educational signage. How about we leave the host a community meeting as additional, and then we just move produce educational signage.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because you'll see that most of the tourists and people who come to town really enjoy reading the information at the pavilion, wherever we've got this beautiful signage. So I think signage is really vitally important for educating people, and it needs to be attractive. And so, yes, I agree. I would like to see that moved up. That'd be great.
Okay.
Mayor Campbell.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I agree with you, Vivian. That's kind of what my discussion was, what I meant with Heidi earlier yesterday. Thank you.
Hey, just a point of clarification on the cost of the signage, would that be included in the 18 grand, or would that be outside of that 18,000?
It'll really depend on the proposal. That's why it's open. If they have a great source that they can get good deals for signage and they want to include it in the proposal, then we're all for it. If they don't, then hopefully their proposal is a little bit lower. We'll have to depend on, who it is and what they're offering to be able to utilize funds for signage.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And just myself looking through this, my personal opinion is there's a lot here for 18,000. So I don't think we're going to get all this, but yeah, we'll just have to see what kind of proposals. So I think everyone just needs to be prepared to don't think we're going to get all this. If we do, I'll be pretty surprised. But I think we can get a good chunk of it, and, something that makes sense and is real. So, but Ashley, you had a comment?
I do. I have a few.
Yeah.
So agreeing with Vivian and John, my first questions on this had to do with signage, but I think mine actually go to kind of a different realm on the education in the signage and the pamphlets on not just what the fishery and the history is, but signage of access points. Where can you actually fish? As somebody who is new here, who's very avid at fishing in different areas, I was talking and sharing this with Chris, and he said he hadn't figured out this last year, where can I legally access to go fish? Because we had guests asking us, and we didn't have that answer. And so I think having signage that's really clear to help so that the community feels good about us pushing this as well, of saying, all these people come on over and fish, because there's some of us that think that's exciting and others that are like, no, I don't know. So making sure also then you stand in front of any of those confrontations that can happen. People feel comfortable. And then also even educating in that signage on fishing etiquette in that sense, because as you start to get more people in that type of fishery, there's certain things that, as far as when you are fishing, you know, just like if you're next to somebody, there can be, this is something you can work on with other anglers and stuff in the area, of just what our Seldovia fishing etiquette could be to help make it a positive experience when you have people coming from different areas, people that have been by themselves for many years fishing in their spot, and then people coming that have never fished and they're getting tangled. And so I thought about some places that got really crazy back in Washington where we used to fish, where you go down and I mean, you're standing in the river and you're just shoulder to shoulder, and it was really fun. But it was fun when everybody had an understanding, but it wasn't fun for somebody that wanted to come and experience it and got next to somebody that, you know, they made a mistake or didn't understand. And so I think that's something that was signage, but also in educational pamphlets can be a fun way of like, you know, how do we fish this fishery? Because it's different too. It's not a river, it's not off a boat. And so that'd be something when we review what stuff comes in, but I think that needs to be a priority. Marketing, it's really good, but making sure that what we're marketing, we can positively support and for everybody. And then my other comment question that I was kind of thinking about is when you're saying that they're looking for more return from us in this fishery, king stamps and such, a lot of the fish that those smolt that are put in, they're not all caught right there. We're catching them right outside that, right in the bay even, but I know that doesn't quite count. And also it's marked the same way. So when they catch those fish, it's the same area like in there. So as far as, I just be curious when Fish and Game's kind of asking for that return, how are they marking that? And I know I have some contacts I can ask about that too. Another thing is when it comes to king stamps is now everything is very accessible online. And I encourage people we don't sell licenses. It's not worth it to have all the booking and everything. It's much easier for them to go online, or I can go online for them, but it doesn't look like they're purchasing it here. So when they purchase their king stamp, I mean, they're when they catch their fish, they're going to mark it. And again, you have that, you never know, but as far as if they're trying to say they want us to sell king stamps, okay, I wasn't sure if that's,
I think they just want to see it utilized.
okay. So perfect. So that would be something that I was just kind of curious on how they figure that out. So yeah, those are my questions.
Mr. Bay, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, Ashley, to help you out here. Last year, Fish and Game put together a really good identifying all those questions you had, because those are questions we've been dealing with. Where do you fish? How to be a good fisherman next to somebody else, etiquette of fishing. So Fish and Game put out this really great pamphlet, and the city has a copy of it. Chamber was sent a copy of it, and I'm not sure if they produce it and handed them out, put them at the different restaurants, if the different stores around town or not. But that would be something that when this document is being put together, hopefully whoever gets a proposal will look at what's been proposed or what's been drafted already from Fish and Game, and has Fish and Game who worked with myself and with the city office about what were our concerns, and can use that information to help us out.
That's perfect.
So check with your chamber, and Heidi, you should be able to find that proposal or that wonderful pamphlet that was made up by Fish and Game. Fish and Game was also going to make a video and have it play on the Fast Ferry. That was something that they were going to do. And I'll talk to Michael about where that's coming. But anyhow, thank you. Just wanted to throw that in there for you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Vivian. That's great to know because I'm one who's all about not reinventing the wheel. So I'd say then knowing that they're already putting out information, because I'm also new to Alaska Fish and Game and finding out all the resources they're coming out with. And so if we can utilize that and just make sure do our job then, maybe, using some of these funds to print extra materials, have those brochures if we can, in a spot by the bridge, where those entrance by the map that we have that shows where you can go in. Because some people, they don't want to go and grab it, but more people are going to be opt to grab it, look at it. If there's certain parts of it that look like it'd be great to have, next to the map blown up because we want to make sure people know a certain standard, I think that would be great.
Good. Any additional comments, questions? Yeah, lots of good dialogue back and forth on this. Obviously, the king salmon fishery is obviously something that's very important to Seldovia, and a lot of people are passionate about it. So yeah, a lot of good information here, and it'll be nice. Hopefully, we can get something back positive on this. We'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wish to comment? Laurel?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So we always walk that fine line of enjoying the serenity of the place where we're at, but also understanding that we rely on the economy of people visiting our area. And so the same thing with the fishing. But the caution is that when you get into grant-based funding, that you sometimes are directed to do things that might go beyond what your desire is. So with that, I will just give my one example, which is that where your city library pursues funding for grant funding, they end up having to be open more hours than they're able to manage. Whereas prior to that, they were just open a couple days a week, a few hours at a time. And so with the salmon fishing, it's that same thing. Just understand that as you pursue those dollars, and they're great, we needed the fish, but what is the outcome in regards to changes in the community culture around that? And not to say that we don't welcome people to visit the area, but does it create a bigger hassle in the long run? Thank you.
Yeah, agreed, Laurel. Thanks for those comments. Yeah, obviously it is a fine line there. You have to be able to support what you're trying to sell, right? I think the education piece on that is critical. Just people respecting other people's property rights. You're not just going down, and making new pathways on our cut banks and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think the good on this should be able to hopefully outweigh the negatives on it. So, but again, you never know. People might just, you get 10,000 people see our new little ad campaign and go, wow, let's go. Party town. So never know. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you. Anyone else from the online or from the public that wishes to comment? Okay, seeing no other ones, we'll bring it back to council for final action.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 23-27.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 23-27 by Rojas and a second by Keithley. Any further discussion before we vote on approving resolution 23-27? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 23-27, Keithley?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Swick?
Aye.
Peyton?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved, 6 affirmative votes. And the resolution is passed. We're going to move on to item M3. Our last item this evening for consideration, action memorandum 23-02, confirming the appointment of Councilmember Peyton as a representative for the city of Seldovia for their membership with the Seldovia Chamber of Commerce. This will be found on page 99, and I'll let Heidi take it away on this one.
Thank you. So we're just trying to get more involved in our community and our community's needs over the last couple of years. One of those proposals was that the city had a representative for the Seldovia Chamber of Commerce. Previously, that was Councilmember Payton, and I know that it didn't necessarily always work out last year, but she's reaffirmed that she is involved again and stepping up to the plate and wanting to be fulfill that role as a representative for the city of Seldovia with that Chamber of Commerce. I did put as a fiscal impact $75 annual membership fee. We pay that as a member of the Seldovia Chamber of Commerce, whether or not we have a representative attending. But it's just nice to keep track that that the city is a member of the chamber.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Any additional comments, questions on action memorandum 23-02?
Yes, I have a comment and a question. So previously, when I participated as representative, I also purchased a membership as an individual. And there was a question brought up on whether or not I could vote as a city for the city and as an individual. I'm just wondering if we have clarification on how that works or thoughts on that while we're here.
I think through the mayor that would be a chamber question.
Like a conflict of interest?
Mhm.
I think what she's saying, and I feel like I just read something in the membership having to, because sometimes we've got it's clarified that if you purchase a membership and then you have like a secondary business, that doesn't give you another voting right, but this is a different situation because it is two actual full memberships, and it's really it's two different entities. It's an individual, and then just that individual is representing.
Yeah, there would have to be something in the bylaws specifically prohibiting
We'll have to take
a single individual from representing two different entities. We'll
When I
defer
talked
to you.
Becky about it previously, she said that it was fine, but that I should just double check with the city. I mean.
Yeah, I think Laurel can answer our question.
Well, I don't think that we ever vote on anything at the chamber that would need your vote twice, just so you know, it's not ever, down the line. But typically we've not had a representative of the city who attended the meetings and participated in voting. So it is new territory, but honestly, I would just vote once and be done, unless you're voting against yourself.
But there's nothing prohibiting it though
Sure.
in the.
Well, it was brought up at a couple meetings. I was like, well, I'm just voting as myself, but while we're here and it's a topic of.
Gotcha.
discussion.
Yeah, I would say definitely it's that would be more of a chamber thing rather than a city thing. So.
Unless you feel like that gives you a conflict of interest and you don't want to be the representative, but you
it's-
want to be an individual. then-
Chamber, there's not really anything that we're voting on that like adversely affects the city or myself as an individual, but it was something that was brought up previously when I attended. So I just thought I would bring it up here. It
I think-
sounds like it's more confusing than necessary.
I think it would just be similar to, anything that is deemed conflict of interest. If there's something came up that you felt strongly about that you maybe, wouldn't want to vote, as it might look like some sort of compromise or something, then maybe just don't. You know what I mean? So, and
Theme should not be birds.
they're probably going to be far and few between. So
Yeah.
I think you're good for now. Okay. Any other additional comments or questions from council? Okay, hearing none. Anyone from the public care to comment or have a question for action memorandum 23-02?
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring action memorandum 23-02 back to council for final action.
Make a motion to accept action memorandum 23-02.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sweat to approve action memorandum 23-02, confirming the appointment of Councilmember Payton. And we have a second by Swick. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of action memorandum 23-02. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas,
I,
Kennedy,
Aye.
Swick,
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, we'll move on to item N, the city manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is in the laydown. And a lot of these topics we've already gone over, so won't get too in depth on them, but just wanted to touch on the fact that the president did sign the FY23 omnibus appropriations bill. And the city of Seldovia had 3 projects included in that bill with the raw water transmission line, the Block Street sewer main replacement, and road material to repair and resurface existing community unpaved roads. Those dollar amounts besides those projects are what was asked for. And 2 things to note concerning the appropriations: that we are required to provide a 20% match, and that the cost estimates provided for the water and sewer projects don't cover the total cost. So we discussed that with the CAPSIS, but there is that. We received really great news today that the grant that Finance Officer Yeager applied for through the Alaska Clean Water Actions has been approved. It's a little bit over $220,000, and that is for a drainage study and stormwater management plan. So we'll see that paperwork coming through in the next week or so, and then there should be a resolution at the next council member approving those funds. But that's a really exciting thing to see happen for the city, because as we know, water impacts us all. And we will be issuing an RFP for it. Jan wanted to make sure you guys knew that there is no match required for this grant, which is big, and that we actually have 2 entities, CRW and HDR, that are already aware of this proposal and interested in that RFP process. So we'll see how that goes. Raise 2023 notice of funding. Just want to let you guys know that deadline is February 28th, 2023. So that's the city office's next big project. Thankfully, we have last year's application to work off of. HDR is reviewing our proposal at this moment from last year through AML. That AML offered that service to the communities, some of the communities of the state. So we should hear back about that review later on this week. And there's some webinar opportunities that we'll be attending, and we're just getting everything rolling for that. So we should be able to meet that date. Additionally, we received funding for our local hazard mitigation plan. This is through the state of Alaska, and we're out of date for that plan, unfortunately, but it over the next year, they'll go through the process through state. It's going to be completed through the state managed contracting and utilization of state technical assistance. There are some pieces that the city will be required to help with, and you can see that the letter of commitment, which was signed last week, and as an enclosure, enclosed in the packet. So more information on that. As discussed earlier, DOT did put out an invitation to bid for the GAP and AMHS ferry service. It's a lot of information. There are quite a few amendments on it. It's a lot of documents to open, but it is out there on the web, and we did advertise it on the city Facebook page, and are hoping that people will take note and put in a bid for that opportunity, because that should provide us more services to the area. At least 2 a month we're hoping for. And that is all thanks to Councilmember Sweat and Rachel Friedlander for working with DOT Commissioner Anderson. So he's been really responsive, even through this process when I've emailed to ask him about it. And he's visited Seldovia this summer. So it seems like he's really trying to be proactive with the community, which is huge. State revolving fund program. I put in here that we did not have a specific project that we were looking at for February 28th, but as discussed earlier, yes, we do. So we will be working on that, trying to get that application in for the Seldovia Slough project. Certificate of approval to operate dam that expired in August of 2022. We're working with the state. I've had a few really good meetings with them. RADSI has graciously stepped up and is working on our operation and maintenance manual, which is a requirement to be able to renew the certificate of approval. There's two pieces. It's the operation and maintenance manual. Well, there's a few pieces, but the big one's operation maintenance manual. And then the other one is the periodic safety inspection, which we had completed last year and was finalized in December. So that's good for 3 years. We get the operation maintenance manual. The state is working on now. In addition, we need an emergency action plan because the area below the dam has changed a little bit. There's a little bit more development below the dam. So our classification has increased to a class 2, which requires an emergency action plan. So we're hoping to have that all done by January 15th as a draft and then finalized by the 31st. And we'll move through from there. And then we'll keep note of that on our city calendars that every 3 years we need to have this inspection take place and just a review of that manual moving forward. Public Works Operator 1 position has been posted. Operator Hall provided his 2-week notice to the city. And so we just want to thank him for his service that he's provided. It's a temporary position, 20 hours a week, more for snow. And it's advertised through April 30th, 2023. That's how his position was listed. But we wanted to make an emphasis on the posting that there is an opportunity to extend that position based on an evaluation of the budget and needs of the summer season. So as we get a little closer and we're going through that budget process, we'll have to look at that position and also the position of our other operator and what his future plans are. Not Jordan, but Johnny. Harbor Master Jant Peterson, I just wanted to make sure it was in writing and out there that due to the family relation between me and Harbor Master Jant Peterson, I will not be supervising her. Finance Officer Yeager has agreed to step in and fill that role. And so any of her leave requests, work requests, anything like that will go through the finance office instead of myself. Additionally, the Alaska Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is hosting a 2023 Kodiak Tsunami Operations Workshop in March that she'll be attending on behalf of the city. It's paid for, the costs are covered, and they accept 2 representatives per community. So one will be Harbor Master Jant Peterson, and hopefully another is from Seldovia Village Tribe. I know we sent the information along to them as well. So hopefully that takes place. Mid-year budget adjustment. I just want to make sure you guys are all aware that it's January. And so with that comes a lot more work sessions. I'm so sorry. But we have that coming up. Budget cycle, FY24 budget cycle, hopefully beginning at the end of next month, end of February. With that, timeline's kind of tight because we have an audit. FY22 audit scheduled for the first week of February, and we are trying to get in our mid-year budget adjustment. So that'll be my, first thing on my list tomorrow with Finance Officer Yeager is to start that budget adjustment for the next council meeting. And we're just gonna move through the cycle. There's a list of kind of some of the ideas for work sessions and topics to cover in the coming year. AML Winter Conference is Wednesday, February 22nd to 24th. This is in Juneau, so this is a great opportunity for the city to see what's happening at our Capitol with our legislators and making those connections. There was put in the budget that a member of the council or a representative of the city of Seldovia could attend that conference. So I don't know if any of you are interested. But if so, I think the block rate for the hotel already expired last week, so I'd have to do some finagling to get into it. But if you are interested, let me know, and we can certainly send somebody down there. multipurpose building, it's coming along. They're here this week. Everything seems to still be on track. And let me see here. Lake Susan, we're keeping our eye on that for the ARPA Community Challenge Grant. That should be March. Oh, this was kind of cool. We did receive a phone call from the late Representative Don Young's wife, and she wanted to give a big thank you. The proclamation that the city of Seldovia sent got lost in the mail, so we sent another one. And she just wanted to express that she really appreciated Seldovia's and thought it was just the most sincere out of the ones she received, which I thought was really kind of a sweet touch. And we sent in a letter of support for Prince William Sound RCAC's continuation and the Seldovia Fuel and Lube bulk fuel revolving loan program. That's it.
Any more? That's it. Okay. No, a lot, like usual, lots going on. So, yeah, no, thank you for that. And, obviously we can see that, yeah, you'll keep up the good work here on the manager's report. So, any questions from council on the city manager's report?
Yeah, really quick, Heidi, do you already reach out to Tracy? Do you want me to reach back out for that letter of support for your Lake Susan?
Why don't we both?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Vivian.
Yeah, the ACWA grant, did the city of Seldovia, are we receiving an admin appropriation from that? And would it be 10 or 20%, or are we not getting that?
Jan did mention that to me today, that we are going to have a portion that is admin related, but I haven't seen the specifics. They haven't come to us quite yet. So when I have that, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. And great report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivian. Anyone else? Okay, as always, good information. Yeah, super exciting about that. That's a significant grant on the water grant there for 220,000 or whatever it was. Yeah, that's a significant number. You know, that'll go towards watershed protection, storm drain, et cetera, which, yeah, will be a big deal when they jump into it, and probably find out a few things we don't want to know. So unfortunately,
I could hint at one.
oh, I already know a couple. So we'll just let them find. So, okay, sounds good. Let's see. Item O, informational items not requiring action, none. Item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Keithley.
Nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Sweat.
Yeah, thank you, Laurel, for attending in person. Nice to see you rather than your house. I mean, although I love your house, but you know. Oh. And thanks to all Heidi and everybody else in the city for all the great information all the time at our meetings.
Thank you. Rojas.
A big thank you to everyone who works for the city and with the city. And I'm sad to see Wade Hall leaving us. He was a good hand. Hopefully we'll find somebody to take his place. And but great job, and thank you, council, for all your hard work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vivian. Kennedy.
Just congratulations, Heidi. That's it.
Okay, thank you, John. Swick
No comment.
and Peyton.
Good job, staff. And bet you're gonna be so excited not to have to keep minutes, Heidi.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, our next meeting will be a regular meeting on January 23rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. And I'll go ahead and look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Go a second.
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.